Hey everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger and welcome to this week's Middle East Update, or KFIR presentation. And it's the week of August 5th. And I want to encourage you right away to go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com. Click the blog button so that you can access the PDF PowerPoint that accompanies this YouTube presentation. I know for a fact that we will not get through everything that's on that PDF. And sometimes, as you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's look right away at Israeli issues. Clinton has just come out and said that she's proud of the lid that we've put on the nuclear program of Iran without firing a single shot. And then she goes on to say, now we have to enforce it. We've got to keep supporting Israel's security. I think it's important that we look at the other side of the coin and what the Obama administration is elevating us. Look at what a great accomplishment this is. We're going to have peace. The reality is the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei from Iran has basically said this is a piece of garbage. Bottom line, we're going to learn the lessons. We never should negotiate with governments that we regard as enemies. Think about it. What we're calling a plum, they're saying this is not worth anything whatsoever. We're not going to hold to these agreements, and yet we're holding this out as a great accomplishment. We need to be careful, and we need to realize what the Iranians are really doing and really what they're up to. They are going to progress. They are going to fast forward their nuclear program with one ambition in mind: to create a nuclear weapon that will be used against, Israel. Quote of the week. I'll read it. You try to figure out who it's from. The situation with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been an area where, despite enormous efforts on my part and a lot of other people's parts, we haven't made the kind of progress that I wanted to see. You guessed it, that's from Obama. He's lamenting the fact that he was not able to accomplish this mythical so-called two-state solution during his so-called watch. He goes on to talk about it's because the Israelis are operating from a position of strength, both militarily or both really economically or whatever. And I'm afraid that we're doing behind the scenes whatever we can to lessen them economically and militarily. We have to be careful in all of this with the time that Obama has remaining in office. We must continue to stand with Israel today. As he goes on, he talks about wanting to create a distance all of our focus from the State Department in regards to what's going on in the Middle East today is that we hammer Israel in relationship to the settlements, and we hammer Israel in relationship to their refusal to divide Jerusalem. When we do this, you have to understand it means that we're turning a blind eye to the mortal danger of Islamic terrorists, that the hatred of Jews that permeate Palestinian society. That's the real issue. When we focus on these matters, it's like giving the green light to the encouragement of the Palestinian administration, leadership, and media to openly continue to incite and encourage terror and violence and boycotts. I saw this video yesterday of a Palestinian man pushing his 3-year-old with a little Palestinian flag towards Israeli soldiers, screaming at them, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him, and then to his son, pick up rocks and throw at them. And this little boy can barely walk, is looking for rocks and to just sort of lob in their direction. I'll tell you, it's the incitement of hatred that's the issue. And if that's not taken care of, no amount of land swaps or whatever is going to provide any peace whatsoever. It just infuriates me to see that we're continuing to go down this road. And then just in eschatologically speaking, I believe that when this takes place in Joel chapter 3, it's the nations that are gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat that God is going to judge because they, quote, divided my land. So we need to be on guard and fight against this in whatever way possible. Rio is readying for the world, or I should say, readying for the worst. I'm an Olympics guy. I love to watch the Olympics, but I've got a sense of foreboding for this one. 500,000 foreign tourists, dozens of heads of state, the attention of the world's media. It's like ISIS can't help but be drawn into this. And what's the response of the Brazilians? You're not safe. We don't have enough protection for you all. I'm worried. It was the Munich Olympics that, with the martyrdom of the Israeli Olympians or whatever. What does ISIS have planned for this? I don't want to be paranoid, but I want to be prepared, and I think part of that preparation is making sure that we're praying that God would protect as the world gathers for this event. Another article about Israel. Israel's preparing for what's called the day after. Russian efforts are being made right now to broker a truce between Assad's regime and the various rebel groups, including ISIS in Syria. And so if there is a treaty between these two, what is expected to happen then is that both the Syrian and the jihadists will be able to focus their joint attention on what they call the Zionist enemy. And according to Israeli media reports, the Golani Brigade ran a series of exercises in the Golan last week just in preparation in how they would deal with both ISIS and Hezbollah together. Just a reminder for us to continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the protection, because God is not finished with Israel. I'm just about out of time. Want to focus your attention on some remaining articles. One entitled 4 million, that essentially is $4 million. Some are saying that the Obama administration secretly airlifted $400 million to Iran. That corresponded with the release of the American sailors, the hostages. Thus, basically, we're negotiating with terrorists. We're paying ransom. Read that article because of the danger, if that's true, the danger that's presented by doing by those such actions. You'll see an article about Arab Christians. And also from the Israelis' perspective, what Europe can do now that there's a new normal in Israel today with the threat of Islam and Sharia law and jihadist terrorists. So take a look at those things. One article that I want to focus your attention before I leave is what's called Torah Gleanings. Each week I try to include something from the Torah portions that we're reading through on a weekly basis. Last week it was about the enemy of Israel, of Balaam and Balak, and paying Balaam to curse Israel. And I thought this article was interesting in light of what we've talked about. So hang in there with me. It's from Tom Bradford, and he says, "We must never assist or lend moral support and thus strengthen Israel's sworn enemies, as Balaam intended to do, and call it even-handed or loving or kind, and think that it's not cursing Israel." He goes on to say, "We can't send supplies and money to Palestinians or apply political pressures upon Israel on their behalf, their enemies' behalf, and then somehow claim that the God of the Bible sanctions this as a worthy and holy cause. We must not join with the secular world to push Israel into dividing the land that was covenanted to them by the Lord, or insist that Israel deed to the Muslims as their capital, the very place that our Messiah will step foot again when he returns from heaven." Bottom line, is that we must take a stand of support in this day for Israel, because if we side on the Palestinian side, we are cursing Israel. And the Bible states clearly that God will curse those who curse them. He'll bless those that bless them. And that will take place. That has taken place in the past. It will take place in the future. And it's taking place in the present right now. That's this week's Middle East update. God bless you. And remember, in all of these things, let's remember the power of prayer. Shalom.